but I think it might just be too much. He said, you know, it'd be kind of like walking and chewing gum, Shell. Don't know if you can do it. It's true. I don't think I can hold on to the mic and this at the same time now. Yeah, be like Dawn. Well, good morning again. So your personal ecology, that reading was something, wasn't it? It was short, but it was really precise and to the point about what Michael Beckwith is talking about when he's speaking about personal ecology. I don't know, guys, it's still not. I'm going to have to do it like Dawn. Click. Huh? So everyone has personal laws, even if we never chose them. And because these beliefs operate beneath our awareness, they feel like facts rather than choices. That's really what he means by personal ecology. That we all are governed by these laws. We have the laws like the law of circulation, the law of attraction. Those are the laws that kind of mandate planet Earth that we're in. But we also have personal laws. And the thing about our personal laws is most of the time we don't know that we have them. They're the rules. They're the lens through which we see the world. They actually dictate what our lens is. And it was said in, I want to say, What the Bleep, that when the Pilgrims arrived here in this country, that the native people didn't even see them because a ship was so far out of their field of awareness they didn't even see it in the water. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But we do know that things like when we buy a car, we don't see a lot of them on the road when we buy them, but then once we have it, we see them everywhere, right? It's our field of awareness. So our laws actually dictate what our field of awareness, and therefore what will let into our life, what will let into our experience, what we won't let into our life, what we won't let into our experience. Our laws dictate that. Click. You're so much better than that. You have a good noise. From the reading, our self-growth is fueled by the contents of our inner ecology. Our inner ecology is qualified by the personal laws of life by which we live, which is what I was just talking about. Click. Guys, oh, thank you. Whether you are aware that they are operable in your life, whether or not you have consciously explored them, they are causality of the conditions and circumstances present in your life. They are causality. They are the cause of the circumstances, what you see around you, and the conditions, how you feel in your life. These laws mandate that, the ones that we have created in our brain. So what creates these? Experiences. The ego creates these laws. The ego absolutely creates these laws for good reason. What is the ego's job? Protection. The ego's job is to keep this vehicle that is transporting you all over the place during this life experience safe. And therefore, it creates a bunch of rules and laws that either we're conscious of or we're not conscious of to keep this safe. That's 100% why they're there. 100%. Not so that we have a greater life experience, but actually so we have a safe one. That's a really huge discernment, isn't it? It's a really huge discernment. Click. Thank you. So, if I don't say thank you every time, do you guys know I'm really grateful for you? Okay. All right. So, when I turned 50 years old, I sat on the beach with my good friend Gloria. We're sitting on the beach, and we're enjoying the sunshine. And I said to Glow, I said, okay, top 10 moments of your first 50 years. Because we both turned 50 that year. And she said, huh. She thought about it, and she said, well, the birth of each one of my kids. I said, yeah. And she said, when I married John. And I said, yeah, so that's 3. And she just kept thinking about it and thinking about it. I said, you can't think of any more? And she said, well, you do it. I said, okay. Huh.
They were all being birthday.
I didn't know you at 50, honey. Or I'm certain they would have been.
Actually, you married me at 43.
Oh. So it must have been my 40th birthday. You know, you're right. You're right. I didn't know you when this conversation was happening, so it must have been my 40th birthday, not my 50th. So I started thinking about it. Now, when I say that to you, just be a little conscious of what comes up. What are the top 10 moments of your first, now it would be 60 years. You know, what are the top 10 moments of my first 60 years? Boy, you know what came to mind right away? All the sucky ones. And I'm like, what the heck is that about? Why, when I ask myself what are the top 10 moments of my first whatever years, do the bad things come up? And I said that to Gloria at the time. I said, I can just list boom, 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 the sucky moments. And we just talked about it for a while. And it was almost like we didn't want to put something in a top 10 moment because then we might run out of them. Or, you know, I don't know what it was. I don't know what that was about. But I can tell you, I made a conscious decision in that moment that I was going to notice. And I was going to make top 10 moments, and there could be more than 10. And my life shifted because of that. And I realized that one of my rules was to hang on to the yuck, not the good. And I decided to change it right then. So now, if you were to ask me this, the day I met Leland is one of them. The day my ex John proposed to me is one of them. And actually that was on my 40th birthday. That was an engagement that broke up when I was in my early 20s. And Gloria looked at me and said, how can you say that with how that turned out? I said, well, it turned out really horribly. But that moment was awesome. And I can hold on to that moment without the outcome and still enjoy it. It's how John and I got to be friends right up until he died. So that's good, right? The first time I saw a redwood was amazing. Amazing. The first time I saw phosphorescence, have you guys done that? First time I saw phosphorescence, top 10 moment. Going into the Everglades and playing hide and seek with a barred owl up in a tree. Top 10 moment. And I now look at Leland and go, this is top 10. And he knows what I mean. I've changed my rules. I've changed my lens. Because I decided that I wanted to have a top 10 life. Click. So Michael Beckwith invites us to consider, what laws am I unconsciously living by? What laws am I unconsciously living by? You know, you want to know how you know what those are? Another one of my favorite Michael Beckwith quotes. You can't hide from your secret thoughts. You cannot hide from your secret thoughts because they keep showing up as your life. You cannot hide from your secret thoughts because they keep showing up as your life. So, what in your life brings discord? Look at that. Look at that. And then ask yourself, what choice, what decision, what law is in my head that is creating that? And awareness is the beginning of the change. Awareness is the beginning. Click. I think that this is what being awake really means. It means knowing that we have the freedom to determine what laws we live by in our head. It's not the conditions that we're in that determines that, no. Nothing out here tells me how I can live. Nothing. We'll talk more about that in a minute. What's in here determines the experience that I'm having. Not what's out here, what's up here. The decision that I make about what's out here, that determines the experience that I'm going to have of it. Yeah? Click. So he goes on in this chapter, and he talks about mature versus immature wanting. This was one of my favorite parts of this particular chapter. I hadn't heard it described, well, years ago when I read the book the first time, and the second time, and like the fourth time, but I had forgotten. You know how that goes. I had forgotten about this. This is pretty nifty, though. Click. Immature wanting says, what can I get? How do I feel what's missing? What do I need to possess? Immature wanting is about stuff. Immature wanting is saying that if I get fill in the blank, I will be okay. And it can be a person, it can be an item, often it's items. It's the idea that she or he with the most toys at the end of it wins. That's immature wanting. I want, I need. I'm going to pray to the universe that this happens. But if you think about like those top 10, not one of them is a thing. Not one of them. It's an experience. Stuff doesn't matter. That's kind of funny, because matter is stuff. Anyway. Sorry, I digress. It's a metaphysical joke, what can I say, you know? It's one of those things. It just hit me. Anyway. It's not about stuff. It never has been, it never will be. That is immature wanting. What is mature wanting then? Click. Mature wanting asks, what wants to emerge through me? What is life seeking to express as me? And how can my fulfillment bless others? What a great question. Aren't these great questions? Because we're in form to express something. We are here for good reason. There's order. That's one of the laws. There is order to this universe. If there was not order to this universe, the entire cosmos would explode. Nothing would hang together, would it? So we're here by divine appointment. We're here for a reason. We are here to be the person that we were sent here to be. And these these stinking laws get in the way, don't they?
Absolutely.
Because we need to be safe. We need to be safe in our little confined worlds. We need to be safe. We need to not hurt. Now, this is coming from a woman that's been in grief for the last 3 years. I know what hurt is, but that's different than this. I'm glad I got that grief. Do you know what that grief means? I loved my dad and my mom and my brother deeply. I'm lucky. Not everybody can say that. Grief is different. I'm here to say grief is different. I'm not going to not love because I had that grief. I'm going to love more. That's my law. I'm going to love more because if I get to have that grief again, I got to love that deeply again. Woo! That's awesome. That really is awesome. So mature wanting, ask these questions. It's kind of, we read these really interesting books in Ink and Insights, the first 2 books that we read, and it was about what happens to souls in between lives. And it got me asking different questions because the way that the author proposed that we come into this life is there's this body and it's got these ideas in it that's going to have an experience, and the soul says, sign me up. That's the body I want. And then it goes into that body. So, and I always thought prior to those books that the soul animated this thing, this vehicle. So it's kind of changed my perspective a little bit. I now believe this vehicle called Shell came with a set of beliefs, came with a set of tendencies, came with genetics, and the soul chose to come along for the ride. And we're in partnership now. So my questions have changed. And my question has become, hey, soul, are we doing what you came here to do? If not, can you give me some ideas so that we can do it now? Because I'd really like to serve you because you breathe life into me. New questions. Yeah? Important questions for sure. Click.
Yes, I agree. When I lost my daughter, I was grieving, and I felt the grief, and I know what it's like, and but you learn through your experience of loss and being able to.
Yes, you do. Grief is good. Grief is good. One of my favorite lines, or it's a little section, in fact, I'm going to read you the section, is the thing about all of this is you can not separate yourself from yourself. In other words, the name of the section is you cannot divorce yourself. You are the one person in this lifetime that you cannot get a divorce from. You are stuck with you. So how about we make it a more pleasant experience, right? So here's what he says at that particular section. Consider using this introspective exercise often. You are the only person you can't divorce. For the eternity that lies before you, you are going to be with yourself. If you're going to be with yourself just the way you are in this moment, will you be happy? Can you live with yourself throughout eternity just the way you are? Let your answer be a guide to the law of life that qualifies you to want to cultivate and the mental, let me read this with the emphasis on the right syllable. Let your answer be a guide to the laws of life and the qualities that you want to cultivate and the mental habit patterns you wish to transform. They're going to be with you. You can't divorce you, so let's make this a ride that you enjoy. Right? I think so. Click. So spiritual growth isn't self-rejection. We don't evolve by condemning ourselves. Self-hate has no place here. We evolve by becoming conscious of ourselves, by listening to ourselves, to listening to that voice and going, that thought doesn't serve me. Oh, wow, that's how it does. Let's do more of that. Let's build a partnership here between head and heart, between soul and body, between however you want to see it. Self, upper self, inner self, whatever works for you. It's radical honesty without self-condemnation. That is what spiritual growth, and worth is all about. That's what being awake is all about. Click. So this is a great question. So what if our circumstances then aren't creating our consciousness, but it's revealing it? Because it is. You want to see what your secret thoughts are? Look around. You want to see what your not so secret thoughts are? Look around. They're showing up as your life. Right now. Right now. Good news, the good news, you get to change your thought whenever you want. And when you change your thought, you will have a new experience of yourself, and you will have a new experience of your life. Everything changes. Everything. Everything. Click. So, what if we were to ask ourselves different questions? Click. What law have I been living by that I didn't consciously choose? It's a good question, isn't it? What law have I been living by that I didn't consciously choose? Click. Now, Reverend Denise has this thing about giving an affirmation at the very end. So in playing along Reverend Denise's way, oh, by the way, she's doing really well. She sent me a text yesterday. She's in San Francisco, and she says, it's wonderful, but really cold. And I said, you have officially become a Florida girl. So this is good. This is good. She's here now, fully here. So I'm going to read this, and then we're going to read it together, yes? I am not bound by yesterday's beliefs. I awaken to deeper truth. I consciously choose the laws that govern my life. I release limitation, I welcome expansion, and I allow life to express itself fully through me. Are you guys in agreement with this? Yes. All right, let's read it with enthusiasm then. Ready? I am not bound by yesterday's beliefs. I awaken to deeper truth. I consciously choose the laws that govern my life. I release limitation, I welcome expansion, and I allow life to express itself fully through me. One more click. You guys were wondering, weren't you? The question on everybody's mind is, what would Ernest Holmes say? Great question. From How to Use Science of Mind by Ernest Holmes, page 2. Man is an individualized center of divine thought, and through him, the original thinker is finding a fresh starting point for its creative power. I'm going to repeat that because it's complex, but it's great. I love Ernest. Man is an individualized center of divine thought. And through him, the original thinker, cap O, cap T, and through him, the original thinker is finding a fresh starting point for its creative power. Therefore, without violating universal or natural laws, the mind of man steps in to specialize or make personal use of them. Man, then, is given power over his own life. He cannot alter the laws of nature, but he can so alter his relationship to them that which bound him may now free him. Choice, my friends. We are always at choice. So let's take this into prayer. So settling into the right here now, knowing together there is one power, there is one presence, there is one life, there is one creative energy. It is energy. We are all energy. We're all made up of this God stuff. Here to express spirit as only we can do. We are co-creators with the divine. That means that we are love in full expression. We are joy in full expression. We are peace in full expression, if our laws allow it. And right here, right now, I know that in each and every one of us, something has been opened up. Something, an awareness has been piqued within each and every one of us. Something has been changed, something has been alkalized, something has shifted. Something has moved. And the result of that is that we do experience more freedom. There is such a deep awareness within us of anything that might be holding us from our good. And all that's holding us from our good drops to the no-thingness where it belongs. And right here and now, the good rushes forward because that's what good wants to do. That's what love wants to do. That's what joy wants to do. It wants to be experienced as only we can do it. So we are the gateway. We are wide open to experience a life of love, a life of joy, a life of prosperity and abundance of ways we hadn't even conceived of. And it is happening now. It is happening now. So I am just so grateful that all we need to do is speak the word, and it is done. The word has been spoken. It is indeed done, and I am grateful. I am grateful. So I invite you to anchor this with me by saying, and so it is. So be it.